How's everybody doing today?
Doing
Doing great. Open up to anybody. You guys ready to go? Josh?
Yeah. How do you find a kicker in Germany? How do you find a German kicker? What happened?
He rack up miles. No, I'm joking. No, going to the combine, the NFL has this IPP program, which, they start training in Ireland, then they go to IMG, and then those finalists, they go to the combine. So this year we had over 26 specialists at the combine this year. And I was fortunate enough to be on the field throughout the workouts, was working out the long snappers, being part of the kicking and punting workout, and just being around those guys with the interviews, the informal interviews that we have with them at the combine, just seeing how these guys, their mental makeup, their background, where they came from, how they got into kicking, whether it was international or our guys that are from the U.S., from different colleges. So being there and then watching those guys work out, it was a privilege to watch some of those guys work out. And, Lenny stood out. He didn't miss any kicks there. Had great fundamentals. I love his mindset. And then fast forward, go to the pro day to get some other eyes on him and bring some other coaches with me. And then coming together with a game plan, huge credit to, Terry and Ryan Pace and everybody upstairs and our scouts, Nate Ellis, helping us out with the whole process and then getting the deal done to bring them in. And when it comes to that, too, all across the board as our team, we're always looking for competition. And we're always looking to bring in the best players. That's why we play the game, to be the best. So we bring in the best players for every position. Just so happen we have 2 kickers here in the building that are really good. So I look forward to working with Lenny this year and going into this offseason.
When you sign a linebacker, I would imagine nobody goes to the other linebackers and says, okay, this is what we envision, this is why we did this, and this is how we envision it working out. But I'm wondering if, with kickers, because they're such a big mental part of the game, you go to Youngway and say, we're signing this guy. This is what we envision for him. This is what we envision for you.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Does that conversation even happen, or is that just part of the game?
One, that's just part of the game. No matter how you conversate, I can't control how other teams have those communications with their kickers and their specialists or other positions. But for us here with the Falcons, from the top down, from myself, from Terry, Raheem, myself, is always clear and concise communications with our players when it comes to that. Whether we're bringing a player in or we're not bringing a player in, whether we're putting a person on IR or we're not putting a person on IR, whether a guy's inactive or he is active. So those communications always happen, and there's always full transparency. But what I love about our room, our specialist room, that is always clear communication. There's no bad egos in the room. Guys understand it's a competition each and every day. Josh, if you're a kicker, a starting kicker for the Atlanta Falcons, and you're the only kicker on the roster, you're still competing with the other 31 teams and those free agents that are on the street. So that's the mindset that we have in our room, whether there's an extra kicker here or we don't have a kicker here. So those conversations, yes, we're always had, but going prior to that, I know Coach Morris and Terry talked about we want to bring in competition. Last couple of years we brought in a punter for competition. Just so happened this year we brought in a kicker, which is totally fine. And I know that both guys are going to put together their best effort and their best body of work, and I'm excited for both those gentlemen to go out there and have their best offseason and training camp.
Is Youngway healthy? Is he fully back from his IR stint with us?
I don't speak on injuries. He's out there moving around, getting stuff done. He's hitting the ball well, but that's a question more so for him. But I don't speak on injuries when it comes to that. But I'm excited to work with him, and he's been doing a great job so far.
With Lenny, this is maybe a better question for Terry or Raheem, but with regards to this IPP slot, with Lenny, you can keep him with the team. He doesn't necessarily need to make the 53-man squad for him to still be a Falcons player going forward. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. That is correct. Based on how the roster and how everything works out, he could be that extra player that we have on the P squad when it comes to that, which in those situations, you carry 16, now 17 with the international player. And the way we're formatted and the way we operate, and it's a great credit to, again, Kyle Smith, Pace, Terry, Raheem. We're maximizing those guys. So if you're on the practice squad, you have an opportunity, and it's shown through our body of work last year with guys like Natron Brooks, where if you're on the practice squad, you're going to get opportunities to play. And you put together a good body of work, then you start to get put on the active roster. Another guys like Josh Woods. Chris Bear played some last year, and he's on P squad and active roster. So if you're part of the 70-man roster, you would say, the 53 plus the 17, you have an opportunity to help this organization win games when it comes to that.
What do you see from the guys out there so far, just in terms of their involvement, their eagerness to play special teams?
It's fun because we have a great room, top down, from our starters to guys that are finding a role on special teams to our specialists, all those guys, and O-line, D-line. All those guys are locked in. They're ready to go. I know this offseason program is optional, but we've had great participation. The guys are locked into what we're doing. They do a great job transitioning from drill to drill, from offense to special teams, defense to special teams, and they're putting together a great body of work and great effort on the field throughout this week, last week, and the weeks before. So going into next week for OTAs, we're excited. We're in a great spot building our foundation on special teams, and I look forward to the competition that we have all across the board on special teams.
Is it simple when it comes down to like the kicking competition, just misses and makes? Like, what else are you looking for when it comes to that for your kicker?
That's a great question. I mean, it's everything. It's your preparation, your process, how you operate, how you carry yourself as a professional, your mindset, your fundamentals, your techniques. Just because you may miss a kick, but was your fundamentals still good? I know Koo missed kicks last year, but he still had great fundamentals. Like, he still had great ball contact. There were some other variables that happened, which we got cleaned up, and some of it was health too. But there's other little things that happen. But I look at all those different things, but that's what makes Koo the person he is. He's process driven. He's locked into what he's doing. Same thing with Lenny. Lenny, just being around him and watching how he operates, how he's process driven, how he works on different things. I think as a kicker, you have to be likable too, because there's going to be a time where you're going to miss a kick. It's going to happen. How your team is going to treat you? Are they going to be the ones encouraging you? Or are they going to be the ones walking away from you and being like, man, why is he here? So I think that's a huge part of it. And I look for guys that are athletes. Just so happen to kick the ball. Koo is a former receiver and a defensive back. Lenny, played soccer and he's played different positions and he's a bigger athlete that could play ball. Bradley Pinion, a former goalie. Liam, believe it or not, was an all-district hurdler in high school. So we'll try to get that ability back for him, give him a couple more tackles this year. But we look for athletes that just so happen to could do all those different things, snap, punt, kick, because I think their mindset is a little bit different than just growing up, just being a kicker, just being a punter, just being like a specialized position. They have a different mindset, and I really appreciate about those guys. And all those guys, they like lifting with the team. So they would lift with the defense. They like lifting with the position groups, running with those guys. They don't see themselves as just specialists. They see themselves as football players.
We talked to you a lot last year about Youngway's approach, and you're so big on that. You just touched on it a little bit. You touched on Lenny's a smidge just then, but what is it about his approach to kicking that you really like so far?
For him only being kicking for a couple of years, I love his mindset. I love his approach to the game, how he sees the game. I love his calm demeanor that he has. I think, he's played professional football, but he just played in Germany. And for him and just his process of how far he had to travel just to get to games, him being reliable, being accountable by his teammates, and the resiliency that he has to not give up on his dreams. Because I don't know, a lot of people know he reached out to a kicking coach on Instagram or social media, and that's how he got his name out there, and then the rest is history. So just all those little details and all those little things that makes him who he is just cool to be a part of. And then just to see him in person, see him kick in person, spending more time with them, getting to understand his why and why he plays the game, why he loves the game. It was a no-brainer to bring him in and have him be a part of our team.
What did you see from him that you thought, okay, the intangibles are there, the athletic aspect that you like is there? What did you see, whether it's the 63-yarder that we saw on social media, him hit that, or what was it that turned you on to him as a kicker?
I think, you go to the combine and we're on the field and you don't know who's going to hold or snap for you until right before you go, which is a little bit different. It's not as realistic as an NFL game where you have the same holder and the same snapper. So for him to go out there and he didn't know who he was working with, and the balls weren't ideal where they were being spotted and how they were being snapped, but there was no complaining, no excuses. He just went about his business. And that's what I appreciate about him, because there's come a time where it's going to be on your shoulders and you got to take care of it. And that's another reason why I love the kickers that we have in this building with Koo and Lenny when it comes to that. But that was cool to just see that, and he just went about his business and he just operated at a high level.
I'm assuming it's exciting that you have someone from Germany able to help you for Berlin this year.
It's a coincidence. I was giving him a hard time. Like, if you down the road, if you play in that game, they might make a statue, build a statue there if you make a kick. But he's been great. It's just a coincidence that ended up working out that way. And again, we're just looking for the best players to come in and help our team and help us compete and build that competitive greatness from the top of the roster to the bottom of the roster.
It's a little bit unique that kickers are finding their way to the NFL. And Jake Bates with the Lions, same sort of deal is going through the UFL and Kickalicious from a few years ago. Guys are just finding a pathway, and it's not necessarily just the traditional going to college and getting drafted, or not getting drafted, but just getting into a training camp and doing that. They just find a way to get there and be seen.
Yeah, it is interesting. Who's Kickalicious? Who's that?
It's a guy from Europe. I think he was.
Oh, okay. I was like, I got to go YouTube that one. All right. Okay.
Same thing. He kicked like a 65-yard
Yeah.
something on YouTube and became a YouTube sensation.
Yeah, it's funny you bring it up because you brought up a 63-yarder. Like, yeah, you could hit a 63 or 65-yarder, but are you consistent? Like, people get fixated on the long field goals, but that's not where the money's being made, is on the long field goals. It's being consistent in that whole body of work. But to go back to that, like, it is interesting because a story about Koo. Koo was our kicker with the San Diego Chargers, our LA Chargers at the time, in 2017, and he won the job. He dominated the competition. And then started the season. He got cut after week 4, I believe. And then he was out for a year and a half. And there's only 32 positions. So that journey as a kicker, snapper, or punter in the NFL is a long, hard journey. And it's hard to get a spot. And it's all about the opportunity and being prepared without the opportunity. So, credit to Koo, staying prepared, working out with John Carney in San Diego and Carlsbad, staying prepared. We almost signed him on practice squad when I was with the Lions. He signed with the practice squad with the Patriots. Matt Bryan got hurt here, and he took advantage of that opportunity. Let's talk about Liam McCullough. Liam McCullough was doing taxes when we called him up, and our snapper got hurt at practice during phase 2. We brought him into the indoor right over there, put him through a workout. Myself and Stephen King, we're the rushers. We're rushing him, talking mess. Did a great job with the workout. Now he just signed a 4-year deal. So it's a hard position to be in because there's only 32 spots, and for guys like those, the examples I used right there, it's cool to see them just stick to it, because there comes a point where you're like, hey, is this something that I want to do? But it's cool to see those guys live out their dreams and then work hard to get there, because when you do put the work in, it makes everything worth it.
What do you need to see out of Youngway in whether the offseason program or training camp to know that he's back to his reliable self?
I think he's always been his reliable self. I mean, if you're going off of, okay, you say 7 kicks, right? Or was that how many kicks he missed? 9? 9 kicks, they say? All right, 2 of them were blocked. If Stephen Curry were to shoot a 3 and they got blocked, does that count as a missed 3 or does it count as a blocked 3? Yeah, so, okay, he missed 7. And then 2 years prior, he missed 5. I'm not making excuses or anything like that, but I'm just, that's not all on him when it comes to that. But Koo is his reliable self because I like his process and I know his process and I know how he prepares each and every day, each and every week. So just so happened those kicks didn't go his way, and the margin of error is very small in the NFL. Taryn, when it comes to just being great in the NFL. So him just staying true to who he is, being consistent with his process, and I know that these opportunities will show up and he'll put his best foot forward when it comes to this offseason, training camp, and then down the road, however it works out.
What's your thought on players being able to play flag football in the Olympics in 2028?
Hey, there we go, Jarvis. Yeah. Okay. He prepped me for that one. No. I got to give him some credit, man. Get an opportunity to represent our country and win a gold medal. I think that's something that is awesome. I know, people are worried about injuries and all that stuff, but to represent our country, and that, like Justin Jefferson said it the other day, the opportunity to win a gold medal, that's a priceless opportunity. So my thoughts are just kind of neutral. Like, I'm excited that flag football is growing. I coach flag football right now. I coach my 2 oldest daughters and my youngest son. So to see the sport grow in that way across the nation and across the world, it's an awesome opportunity. It's more exposure for the game.
Do your kids have any reaction to it at all?
I know they're excited. They are excited, especially my son. He saw Justin Jefferson on TV yesterday, so he thinks he is Justin Jefferson. So I got to stop doing the gritty every time he scores a touchdown in games. But, yeah, they're all excited. They love flag football, and it's cool to see the sport grow when it comes to that.
What does Jamal Agnew bring to the team?
Jamal's awesome. I had the opportunity to coach him for 2 years in Detroit. he's just an amazing individual. People forget he was drafted as a defensive back and then transitioned COVID year to a receiver without any practice or anything, and then start working with Matthew Stafford in the offense until training camp. But I love his fearlessness. He's able to hit returns north-south or east-west. He does a great job of setting up blocks. He has great vision, break tackle ability. His speed is real, and you can feel it. And I'm excited to see you guys see him play this season. But he's a likable dude too. Like, for you to have that many touchdowns and be an All-Pro and a Pro Bowl returner, like, guys want to block for you. It's one thing to go out there and just do your job as a blocker, but it's another thing to go take that extra effort because of the guy that you're blocking for, and he possesses all that. So I'm excited, and it's a very great opportunity for us to have him on this team.
You mentioned he was likable. What about him was likable?
I mean, his personality, he's caring, he's in the present. When he's talking to individuals, he's locked in. He's not like, he treats everybody as they're important and they mean everything to them. Like when he came in, just the first day in the building, people were just ecstatic about how good of a person he is and how welcoming he is and how relatable he is when it comes to who he is and what he's about. And he puts in the work and he leads by example. And he's going to be a great mentor for the younger receivers out there. So he's been great to work with, great for our special teams unit, and we look forward to working with him.
We haven't spoken to you since Liam's 4-year extension. What went into that, and why Liam, basically?
I mean, if you're not talking about the snapper, that means he's doing a good job. So, I don't handle the extension or anything like that. I'm happy as hell for him to get that extension. But he's put in 3 really good seasons as a long snapper for us and a short snapper, and he's been consistent. He's been putting in the work, and I'm just excited that his hard work is paying off, and it's going to continue to pay off. Now, has he made it? No. He understands that, and he has a lot of things that he can improve on. That's why it's been great to go through phase 2, and now next we get into phase 3. But I'm excited that worked out in his favor. We're excited to have him here to be our long snapper, and I know that his best days are yet to come.
I'm reading that they also passed like the onside kick rule change as well, and you can attempt it anytime the team's trailing. Just what do you think about that?
I think everybody watched the Super Bowl, right? And then got out of hand pretty fast, and the Kansas City was kind of handicapped until the fourth quarter. To make the game more competitive, yeah, I'm all for it. I know they added another thing where we could line up on the 35 to put the kickoff team a little bit closer to make the play, so where it's a better opportunity, hopefully higher percentages to get the ball back. I'm all for still number one is player safety. That's going to be good with that play. And then 2, an opportunity where you could put your team back in the game and get them an extra possession. Anytime on a special teams unit, we could get an extra possession because 2/3 of these games are one-score games. I'm all for it. So I'm excited, and we'll see how the game adjusts to that rule this year. So.
Okay, all joking aside, we really can't see anything. So how's it going so far?
No, it's going good. It's obviously a lot of installation, a lot of time, in the meeting room, and then it has been nice to get on the grass and get guys moving around. Obviously, we're mostly routes on air. We're doing some plays on air, just kind of getting a feel for stuff, getting guys, back into that rhythm of hearing play calls in the huddle. But next week it'll be awesome, obviously, to start going against the defense and start seeing some of these things, some of the new things, and then obviously cleaning up anything, corrections from last year and whatnot. So been going great. A lot of great attendance. Everybody's showing up. Guys are engaged. So that's all we can ask for. I'm sure they're tired of hearing me install for hours at a time, but it'll be a lot of fun to hit the grass next week.
What's your opinion on NFL players in flag football in LA in 2028 for the Olympics?
I think it's cool. I'm for it. If guys, if that's a goal of an NFL player to possibly win an Olympic medal, I think that's a pretty cool, opportunity for those guys. So, don't know the exacts of the rule. I know everybody's trying to figure it out, but shoot, I think I'm all for it. If guys have that goal, then I think it's a very cool opportunity.
Put yourself in their shoes whenever you were playing. Would that be something that you would like to do?
Yeah, well, it's flag football and you don't get hit. So if I was a quarterback, I'd be all in trying to do that. But yeah, I think it would be something that I probably wouldn't be good enough to make the team, but yeah, I think it would be something really cool to explore.
Only one player from each team could go. So in the perfect world, who would you like to see representing the Falcons?
We can't pick.
I
mean, we can't pick it. We've got we've got a number of guys that would be cool to see. Obviously, you got Mike, you got Drake, you got Bijan. I mean, it'd be tough to pick between those guys.
The tush push was officially staying around. So just what are your thoughts of it and being used in the game?
Yeah, I don't honestly have a ton of opinion on it. Never been on a team where that's been something that we've kind of hung our hat on in a short yardage situation. Not saying that we couldn't explore those avenues going forward, but it's a different looking play optically than any other play that we have, obviously. But if it's part of the rules, then we'll coach it accordingly. If we see fit as an offense to incorporate it, then we will.
When you say everyone's here, does that include Kirk Cousins as well? Like he's still out there with the guys?
Yeah, there's been days, Kirk's kind of in and out, just getting his own rhythm going. But, most of the guys have been here, and we're kind of, obviously it's voluntary, so it's at those guys' discretion.
And same with Penix. Just where have you seen him? Obviously the installs he's pretty familiar with, but what have you just seen him in the growth?
Yeah, no, he's been awesome. I think, obviously, that next level understanding of everything as an offense, from a run game standpoint and, play action pass, and we're getting into a lot of our drop back concepts. But it's great for him to hear these things, obviously year 2 going into it. And then we do have a decent amount of new stuff, too, that's keeping everybody engaged and fresh, too. So he's doing a great job. He speaks up in meetings when he needs to and when he feels like it's appropriate to talk to the receivers. A couple of times it came up even this morning in meetings. So he's doing a great job. He's such a smart player, and he's got great concept understanding of everything that's going on. So it's been cool to see him just keep taking the next jump. And then obviously once we hit, and get real reps, that's when we'll see another jump in terms of just actually getting those plays reps live.
What do you want to see from Kyle Pitts this year?
Yeah, I think, for Kyle, it's just how can he take that next step of, next level of details, next level of consistency, all those things that we've talked about kind of with him and have talked about in the past. And, he's in year 2 of the system, and I think the thing we've always talked about with Kyle is just play fast. Like, no matter what, play fast. Take the thinking out involved with it. But yeah, that's more of what we're looking for from Kyle, is just that next level of understanding of the offense and just the intent of what we're trying to get done, and then ultimately just play fast no matter what. And that's what we'll coach him up on when we hit the field next week, and we'll continue to coach him up.
Zac, so much was put into the defense in the draft. For you know a lot of these guys that are coming back. It seems like that's a pretty familiar group. Does that make your job easier, not having to work with a lot of new players and just keeping the same group?
Yeah, absolutely. The year 2 of the system, and guys have been saying it, when we're out there, like Mooney said it a couple of days ago. He's like, man, I'm so glad we're in year 2 of the system. Just because it was, obviously, we had a bunch of new coaches, new system, complete overhaul from what some of the guys had done here, a seasons before, new faces, a lot of new going on last off season. So from a scheme standpoint, it definitely feels a lot better. You're not having to, just start from scratch. Like, you always start over, but you can kind of, you can get through it a little bit quicker knowing that guys have heard this multiple times. So it's been a lot of fun for us to just get out there and kind of install, like I said, some new stuff, build on what we already have, and the guys have handled it really well.
How's year 2 feel for you? I mean, this is your second full year.
Yeah, no, it's like a night and day. And I can't remember if I said it last time, but I've got a great buddy, Nick Cayley, who's offense coordinator in Houston, and, he's going through first year, and we're talking every week, like, hey, how'd you handle, and there's just so many things that you are unforeseen in that first year doing it that, it's definitely a lot more comforting. Obviously, we know our players, we know all of our staff members, how we work well together, and understand what our players do well. We had a good idea going into last year, but then now you get them for a full calendar year, and you get a great understanding. So it's a lot more. Last year obviously was fun. This year you're taking a little bit of deep breath, and you don't feel like you're just swimming upstream the whole time. So it's definitely a lot better to be in year 2 of the system for sure.
For Mike, how valuable is it just coming on day 1 knowing that you're the guy and you just embrace all of that responsibility?
Yeah, I think it's good. I would say that Mike approaches everything pretty much the exact same no matter what role he's in. He just puts his head down, he goes to work, he works out on the field, he works in the classroom. Obviously the leadership and what guys are looking at him to take that next level is a little bit different, but he's such a low-key guy that I'm not sure his demeanor or anything changes based on his situation. He just gets the work done, and he puts a ton of work in, on and off the field. So it is fun for him coming in, knowing like, hey, everybody's looking to you to lead now, and it's a little bit different responsibility. But his approach is he's such a steady guy that it feels about the same every single day with him.
Have you ever seen him like frustrated or upset? Just like
I've seen him on the field. You know, he is highly competitive, like all good quarterbacks. And so I've seen him on the field frustrated with himself, or mostly it's just himself. You know, he's hard on himself, like most quarterbacks are. So, but yeah, in outside of on the field competing, I mean, he is about as cool as they come. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot.
I know, I feel like that every time we see him. He's just calm and cool. So.
Very generic, Jeff, but how's the install process going for you guys?
It's going really well. You know, it's we're in this process of blending a couple systems, a little bit what they did last year, a little bit with what we were bringing from New York. And in doing so, like, it has been awesome, I think, from their standpoint. A lot of new concepts, new techniques, new fundamentals. They're getting challenged in a lot of ways, but I'm getting challenged as well. I'm learning a lot of stuff that's brand new to me. So it's been really fun and exciting and challenging and everything in between.
There's so many new faces on the defensive staff, including yourself, obviously. What's the camaraderie? What's it like? What's the coaching and player relationship been like so far?
Yeah, that's been phenomenal as well. It's they're learning me in the fact, and me and Hux were just talking about it, where I want our defensive staff rooms to be a collaboration in every way, and I want everyone to feel safe to offer up their opinion and speak on things. And it's a little different, I think, than some might do it in that way. So they've had to learn me a little bit early on, but I think everybody's getting comfortable to the standpoint where we have so many great minds in that room. For me not to give everybody a voice would be, would be criminal in a lot of ways. So I've always believed, like, if everyone has a voice and everybody's contributing, you're eliminating blind spots. And ultimately, if we're eliminating blind spots, we're giving our guys the best opportunity to be successful.
Last time we talked to Raw, he said that Jalen Walker had captain ability. Like, in the future, it's possible. Obviously, the players vote on that, but he has those tendencies and those qualities. What do you see in Jalen that allows him to be a leader like that? Yeah,
to me, leaders are men, teammates that they approach every single day the same way, and they attack it the same way, and they never pick and choose when they want to be a leader or they want to be right in the way they approach the day, the practice, the game, whatever that is. And he is that guy. He's that guy that he's the same human being every single day, steps into this building. He attacks it unlike maybe any other rookie I've been around in that way. So I'm super excited. It's early, and he's got a lot to still learn and grow from, but I'm excited about the future that he has.
I know it's early, and it's obviously just the beginning of OTAs, but has anyone kind of stood out to you, or that you're excited to work with and that you've seen during these first couple weeks?
Can I say Jesse Bates? I mean, Captain Obvious a little bit. He's one of the best safeties I've ever been around playing or coaching. Just his stuff above the neck is one of one as far as I'm concerned. His ability to see this game probably better than most coaches I've ever been around, and like, as we're installing new defenses, I'm just looking at him and his body language, and he's like searching in the sky for, like, where do my plays live within this defense, and it's just so unique, and the questions he asks are so deliberate, intentional, and he doesn't want to just know it, he wants to master it, and it's very unique in that way.
How much can that help you, too, having a guy like that on defense as well?
It's phenomenal, because ultimately we're going to get some unscouted looks, concepts. Offenses are going to attack us in ways that we've not prepared for. That's just the current NFL that we live in. So from that standpoint, to have a problem solver on the field, it's critical, and he's that guy.
Defensively, what are your thoughts with the tush-push staying? Just what are your thoughts on it staying, and if it's a big deal, not big deal, what do you?
I honestly don't have an opinion either way. Like, if it's still a valid play, we got to defend it. And if it's not, that's good too.
How important is it when you got new players, you got a lot of new guys on the defensive side, and you're bringing in a new system? A lot of the veterans can pick that up a lot quicker, but when they're new and they're coming in, and you're trying to implement something, they're all together. They're on the same page. The vets can pick it up a little faster. Does that make your job, when you're bringing in a new system, a little easier for you guys as well? Because everybody's kind of on the same page almost.
It can. At the same time, we do things a little bit different. I'm not saying better or worse. A little different from the standpoint of the volume of our defense is way less than any of these guys are used to. Even the college guys coming up, especially guys coming from, major programs like Georgia, where they have a huge playbook. And that's been amazing for a lot of different people. I mean, Coach Smart is one of the best to ever do it at any level. But in our system, we're more simple in the fact that the volume of our defense is small, so, and I'm not to say that it's easy by any means, because there's deeper detail within every defense that we have, but it's conducive to guys picking it up a little bit faster, I would say. So from that standpoint, the fact that there is a lot of new faces, the fact that we're doing less helps.
Did a lot of those guys that you guys picked up, did they just seem to pick it up quick? Did they seem like, when you got them on the grass, that they looked like they were on tape?
Some veterans for sure that have just got an acumen for football, that they just pick it up faster than most. But I'd also say some of these younger guys, especially, I know we talked about Jalen, but talking about Xavier, talking about Billy, like these guys, talking about even James, like way higher. The starting point for these rookies is way higher than most rookies I've ever been around.
How's it feel to just be back again? Like, is there any familiarity with the building? It's changed a little bit, but
Right.
just like to be back in a different role and things like that.
It feels fantastic, to tell you the truth, for a lot of different reasons. For one, the players. Like, we got a group of guys that attack every day in a very uncommon way. It makes coaching them it makes it so much fun, because, as coaches, we put a lot of time into this, and when you're putting a lot of time into guys that may not necessarily appreciate that, sometimes it can get, it's tough, but the fact that I know every minute we spend in preparation for these players that they're fully embracing, taking advantage of, and they want, it makes it that much more it's just easier to work the hours that we work, and then, so players been awesome, and then the coaching staff has been phenomenal, like just a group of brothers already that I feel like we've already come together in a very, in a way that typically takes years, and I feel like we have a different just relationship amongst ourselves, and then, ultimately, like, being able to work for an owner like, Arthur Blank, for me is a great, it's an honor, because in my opinion, he's one of the greatest, if not the best owner in this business, and stands for so much more than just football and community and all the stuff that he does for charity, and he's just a good man in general. So it's just all the stars are aligned to make this a very positive experience.
What do you hope to see from James Pierce, and what have you seen so far? Because we haven't seen a lot of video.
Right. A guy that's he's gonna create some serious problems for offenses, because, he's one of the guys that, as we approached the draft, collectively we were very high on as far as his ability to rush off the edge. And, there's a lot of guys you got to fabricate for, and there's guys that fabricate for themselves. And he's one of those guys that he doesn't need a whole lot of scheme to get him going. We can put him on the edge and let him rip it, and he's going to be a problem, and I'm super excited what he'll become. Now, a lot of work to do, and fortunately we have a really good group that he's joining, so there's going to be a lot of really cool competition within that group, but expect a lot from him. We do.
Some players like to set goals for themselves going into a season, statistical markers, yards, touchdowns, whatever it is. I'm assuming you don't do that from a coaching perspective, but I guess I should start. Do you have any kind of statistical markers where you're like, we need to hit this many sacks,
right,
or whatever it is?
Yeah, I looked at statistical markers more as what I need to shine a light on as we're going. Ultimately we got to win games, and whatever that takes. I think sometimes when you make these hard markers as far as statistics are concerned and you chase them, sometimes that can cost you games. I've been part of that process where it's like our run defense has got to be this, and all of a sudden we devote so many resources to defending the run that the pass ultimately loses the game for us, so I think there always has to be balance in that way. Now, I'm always I'm paying attention to all the stats from the standpoint of when we're struggling at something, it just helps me know what to shine a light on, so for me it's more of that, at the end of the day, explosives and turnovers, as we all know, those are two of the biggest markers that every week I track, because if you limit explosives and if you force turnovers, you're going to win a lot of games.
The Bears coach, Ben Johnson, I believe he was talking at owners' meetings, and he was saying how the team that has the better passing EPA in a given game wins that game over 80% of the time.
That's crazy.
Has that kind of affected the way that you think about the game, how we need to
without a doubt,
your defense?
Yeah, without a doubt. And QBR, those are the two most telling stats outside of the turnover ratio and explosives, which is such a huge shift in the way football has ever been approached. like the best perspective I can give you, in 2015, we were the #1 rush defense in the NFL for the first like 12 or 13 weeks, whatever. We ended up top 5, really, really good. In 15, as a team, we didn't do as well as we would have liked, you know, and it forced me to really reassess like how I approach defense, because I was classically taught in this game of you better stop the run first, you know, and it's been an evolution of myself in the last probably 10 years where, do I want to stop the run? Of course I do. I think the one thing about run defense that doesn't always get quantified in statistics is time of possession. Like if you're not stopping the run, you're limiting time of possession for your offense, and that can be a problem, although it doesn't necessarily show up on a stat sheet, you know. But I would say my focus is primarily stopping the pass, you know. Do I spend time on the run game? I do. Do we do run fits out there? We do. Do we detail out our run fits? Absolutely, you know. But if I'm going to spend my day is at the very least 60% pass, 40% run, if not more, that way. Just understanding that's the game we play nowadays.
Would your run alignment look differently in 2025 than it would in 2015, simply because you've now built a group that prioritizes 245-pound athletes off the edge,
absolutely,
as opposed to 260-pound middle linebacker?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely like when we play the run, and that's really where it goes back to the fact that we can get into more multiple fronts here, where we can create more one-on-one blocks, where I don't have to be necessarily as big because I'm not facing the same combos and doubles and all that stuff. Whereas in New York, we were undersized because we valued the rush component of our defensive line and the linebackers, their ability to cover and navigate space at a high level, which made it tough, you know what I'm saying? When you got 4 down spacing, you got little D linemen and you got little linebackers.
You can get doubled more easily.
Absolutely.
Because they're staying.
Yeah, and we had our challenges in that way, and in the run game, we gave up probably more yards than I'd like at times, you know. But that was also a byproduct. About our offense. We didn't, and this is not throwing shade at it, but our offense didn't score a lot of points, so we didn't put opposing offenses in a position where they had to really go, you know, and try to, so we were always playing 50-50 football, which can be challenging. It is challenging. It is challenging. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to think of, you know, being paired with an offense here that is, in my opinion, equipped to score, you know, that's a really exciting thought for me.
Do you find that offenses that you're seeing are evolving more rapidly than they had in the past? It feels like from
no doubt.
The 80s to 2005, it was pretty much the same stuff, and now we're seeing all kinds of different motions. And
it is. You are 100% right. Like, the best way I describe this, and I probably said this and I'll say it again, is like offenses and defenses and special teams. And it's really offense and defense, probably more so, but maybe special teams too. You have to ask Keith on that. But like we used to have playbooks. You know, we used to have hard-bound playbooks. And I remember when I got to the 49ers in 2000, they gave me this book that was that thick, and I was like, oh my gosh. I remember calling my wife and being like, this is going to be a short stay. I'm not going to be able to pick all this up, you know? And those days are gone because we're constantly changing. It started with the passing game, and I think it was a little bit influenced from college football that leaked into the NFL, but I saw it in 2015 when I had Kyle Shanahan coming into my office all the time, like, okay, what is the buzz player taught here? What is the weak hook player taught here? What is the read corner taught here? What he was going to that place of, rather than his dad's book of like, I'm playing a cover 3 team, here's my 3 beaters. He was like, all right, what are your rules in cover 3? And he wanted to learn all the rules. And then it was like, I'm going to beat you in a way you've never been beaten. If you guys remember, we played Seattle in 2016, the Super Bowl year, and we played in the playoffs. And I remember we had this play with Tevin Coleman where he ran a 7-cut from the backfield anyway, but it was in the high red zone. Well, we were playing Seattle, and obviously we knew Seattle's rules, and we were running all week long that 7-cut from the backfield, and there was no answer to it, none, because I know the rules, I know what they were going to be in, and it was a wide open touchdown, and you know, obviously we had a good day that day, you know. But it was that was where I saw it. I was like, oh, he's doing stuff that's never been. So now, like, then there was that huge, Sean McVay and that whole family, and then obviously the Shanahan family, and there's other families too that are doing the same things, beating you ways that you never been beat before because they're taking a deep dive into your defensive rules. But now it feels like the last couple of years that's leaking into the run game now. Like, whereas the run game used to be, I'm an outside zone team, or I'm a gap scheme, or I'm a this, I'm a that. That's gone. Like, you think of Kyle Shanahan, think of the Shanahan family, like outside zone, right? That's what that's what his dad made money on. That's what he made money on for a year. That's what we made money on here in 2016. Like, you might see more gap scheme from them than anything. It's like, so they have become so multiple in that way, and designer in that way, where again, what's going to work against you and your defense, and then they tailor it from week to week in that way. So we're seeing this crazy evolution of offense where it makes it way more difficult for us. But that's where I always go, like, there's two ways to approach that. Defensively, I can say, I'm just going to throw chaos back at you. And some people do that, and that works for a lot of people. But I don't feel good about that. Like, the ex-player in me wants to, like, when a player comes to the sideline, if we got beat, like, I need to give him an explanation, exactly what happened and how we fix it, period. And if I can't do that, that's a fireable offense as far as I'm concerned. And if I'm just throwing chaos at you, I can't give you the answer all the time because I don't necessarily know what the answer is. So they get more complex. In my opinion, we get simpler. And we give our players the opportunity to navigate unscouted looks, concepts, principles. So on game day, we have these problem solvers out there, and they can navigate their way through anything that they might get,
Philosophy-wise, like, how much of it is, when you're adapting to these different, evolving offenses, how much of it is reactive, how much of it is proactive? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much is it reacting to what they're going to do, or how much of it is proactive where we're going to do what we do and make them adjust to us?
It's probably a balance between the two of them. Like, we're going to do what we do. Period. Straight up. Like, we're not going to run a lot of defense, and our call sheet's not going to change a ton from week to week. Minus third down, minus situational football, et cetera. But, like, at the same time, within that, we have to. We'll be nauseating the way we're prepared for these guys out here. The beauty of being simpler on defense, the beauty of being predictable in some ways on defense is offenses become a little bit more predictable against us. So I don't necessarily need to know the concept. I know what puts us in conflict, so I can fabricate that on a weekly basis out there. So these guys are going to get, like, they're going to get certain concepts that I know we'll get in some form or fashion. Now they're going to doctor it up a different way, different motion, different formation, and maybe a little different concept from a pass perspective. But I know what's going to get challenged, And as long as I'm constantly making our guys aware of the issues within our defense, it gives them the ability to navigate these unscouted looks and concepts, et cetera.